When it comes to dark TV shows, demented cartoons, or generally cursed media, I can't think of many topics I love chatting about more. Okay, maybe demented dolls, but that's it. I just find it so fascinating what has been created over the years and how things do or don't hold up against the test of time. Question for y'all, what's your favorite piece of demented TV knowledge? Let me know in the comments and let's dive into today. Alrighty everybody, I'm kicking off this list with a personal guilty pleasure favorite, the Terms of Endearment episode of Drawn Together. If you're unaware of the premise of the show, it's a parody of house-based reality shows, such as The Real World, The Surreal Life, Big Brother, and it follows the misadventures of said housemates in the fictional show of the same name and uses a sitcom format with a reality TV show setting. They used a lot of caricatures of established cartoon characters and stock characters. Comedy Central advertised it as the first animated reality TV series, and in some episodes the characters participate in challenges that are similar to reality TV challenges. And when I say the show was meant to be politically incorrect, I mean it. Let's go over some of the characters together for context, shall we? Captain Leslie Hero is a sociopathic, chauvinistic, idiotic, perverted, anti-heroic, hetero-flexible, necrophiliac, and just overall icky parody of superheroes. His character is based on the flying brick superhero archetype, think guys like Superman and Shazam. Wuldor Sockbat is a hyperactive, idiotic, gullible SpongeBob knockoff who displays many of the typical reality-defying behaviors that Bugs Bunny might have. Princess Clara is a pampered and bigoted princess. She's a self-professed Christian who repeatedly demonstrates homophobic and racist behavior. Toot Bronstein is a Betty Boop stereotype who will literally die by her own hand if she isn't the center of attention. Sadly, I can't get into detail, but she does a lot of icky and unsafe things to herself. Xander P. Wifflebottom is like a hyper-feminine gay stereotype. There's also a homicidal Pokemon knockoff and other characters I can't even begin to talk about. I'm hoping by now you get the idea. This isn't a show meant for young viewers. So enter the Terms of Endearment episode. Why after all of that did something actually get pulled? So it was produced for the first season, however it was delayed until season 2, and even then barely got released. It actually had to be fixed and edited first. So, what was the premise? In an effort to boost ratings, the producers demanded that Claire and Foxy, who, my bad, Foxy was the character that represented a lot of the black girl character stereotypes at the time, they were told they had to start taking showers together. Captain Hero was like, I'm gonna use my x-ray vision to spy on them. Claire was like, absolutely not, whereas Foxy's like, this is fun, this is fine, use your x-ray vision whenever. Unfortunately, the prolonged exposure to the radiation gives Foxy a brain tumor. Out of grief, Captain Hero decides to strip himself of his powers so he can no longer harm anybody in that fashion ever again, and unfortunately by doing so, he becomes paralyzed from the neck down, since apparently that happens to all superheroes who lose their powers, confining him to a wheelchair. Shortly thereafter, Foxy's radiation poisoning causes her to begin mutating into a stereotypical caricature, causing agents from the Bureau of Cartoon Political Correctness to arrive and take her away to a cartoon erasement camp. Hero realizes that Foxy must be rescued, but unfortunately, he can't do anything. But he's like, okay, we're not gonna give up. He gets all the other housemates together and they head over to the cartoon erasement camp where Foxy and other politically incorrect cartoon stereotypes are being held. When they get there, the housemates discover that Mickey Mouse, whose name is partially bleeped, is leading a plot to eliminate all offensive cartoon characters in order to make the universe the happiest place on Earth. Eventually, Captain Hero is able to reverse the rotation of the Earth and undo all of the terrible events that transpired in the episode. So why was it delayed from airing? Well, it wasn't because of Disney for once. Christopher Reeve died shortly before this episode was supposed to be aired, resulting in Comedy Central deciding, maybe not. So when it finally made it to air, one key scene was altered. According to executive producer Bill Freiberger, Captain Hero originally lost his powers by falling off a horse, which was a parallel to Reeves' accident. So Comedy Central was like, yo, you gotta change this. The episode was almost banned a second time when Reeves' widow, Dana, announced that she had a terminal illness shortly before the episode's rescheduled air date. Yikes. See, that's dark. Okie dokie, time to move on to a show that's a little less dark as a whole, the classic Dudley Do Right show. Dudley Do Right is a fictional character who originally appeared as the main protagonist of Dudley Do Right of the Mounties. He's a dim-witted but conscientious and cheerful Canadian Mountie who works for Inspector Fenwick. Do Right is always trying to catch his nemesis, Snidely Whiplash, and rescue Inspector Fenwick's daughter, damsel in distress Nell Fenwick, with whom Do Right is deeply infatuated. He usually succeeds only by pure luck or through the actions of his horse, aptly named Horse. So, in theory, a himbo. How in tarnation did an episode of a wholesome show like this get the boot? Never mind, only the second episode of the first season? Alright, well let's discuss the episode, Stokey the Bear. When the lumberjacks working on Mount Up prepare to go to work, they are surprised to see the entire forest go up in flames. Not only that, the lumber camp and everything was on fire. It seems that Stokey, who used to lead the fight against forest fires, was now under the hypnotic influence of Snidely Whiplash, and was now leading the fight for forest fires. Constable Dudley Do Right soon picks up Stokey's trail and follows him into Quebec and into a firehouse. When the fire bell rings, the firemen rush out, only to find that it was actually their firehouse that was on fire. So while the men are fighting the fire, Do Right spots Stokey just roasting marshmallows and pursues him onto the roof of the building, finding out the building is burning out of control, but Dudley rushes in to rescue the bear. Having pleaded Stokey's case, Do Right takes Stokey for a change of scenery to Chicago. There, Stokey starts a major fire, and Do Right convinces somebody else to blame it on their cow. Stokey the Bear was an obvious parody of the popular Smokey the Bear, who was the mascot for the US Forest Service. They took a little bit of an issue with their main guy being shown lighting fires and not really giving a damn. Also, the closing references to a fire in Chicago suggest that it was actually Stokey that started the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. So I think this next example is the only episode of something I'll talk about today that was banned for genuinely being unsafe, and not just dark in context. So youngins from the 90s, this is a question for you. Do you remember hearing about a killer Pokemon episode? I wasn't familiar with the game or the show at the time, so I can't confirm or deny the rumors on my own, so let me know in the comments. I need y'all's help. So while the rumors were greatly exaggerated, there was some truth to them. In Season 1, Episode 28, titled Electric Soldier Porygon, Ash and his friends find that there is something wrong with the Pokeball's transmitting device at the local Pokemon Center. To find out what's wrong, they've got to go inside the machine. 20 minutes into the episode, Pikachu stops missiles with his Thunderbolt attack, resulting in an explosion that flashes red and blue lights. Although there were similar parts in the episode also with similar flashes, two anime techniques called Paka Paka and Flash made this scene particularly intense. These flashes were bright strobe lights, blinks at a rate of about 12 Hz for approximately 6 seconds. So at this point, some of the viewers experienced blurred vision, headaches, dizziness, and nausea. Others suffered from seizures, blindness, convulsions, and unconsciousness. Japan's Fire Defense Agency reported that 685 viewers, roughly 310 boys, 375 girls, were taken to hospitals by ambulances. Although many victims recovered during the ambulance trip, more than 150 were admitted to hospitals, and I think 2 were hospitalized for at least 2 weeks or more. Thankfully, nobody actually passed away, but out of an abundance of caution, the episode was never shown on television ever again. Actually, after this incident, the show went into a 4-month hiatus to be like, okay, we gotta reevaluate. Next up is a show I can't say I've ever watched myself, the Ren Stimpy Show. It often pushed the envelope of good taste, but one episode crossed the line to the point where Nickelodeon was like, we're not airing this. The series follows the misadventures of Ren, an emotionally unstable and psychopathic Chihuahua dog, and Stimpy, a good-natured and dim-witted Manx cat. The show generated significant controversy for its dark humor, innuendos, adult humor, violence, and shock value. All of the controversy contributed to the production staff's altercations with Nickelodeon's Standards and Practices Department. Some segments of the show were altered to exclude references to religion, politics, booze, violence, and tobacco. The episode Powdered Toast Man had a cross removed from the Pope's hat, and the credit was changed to The Man with the Pointy Hat. The same episode had a segment featuring the burning of the United States Constitution and Bill of Rights that was removed, while in a different episode, Dog Show, the last name of the character, George Liquor, was removed, being changed to George American. And a lot of other episodes included somebody smoking a cigar, pipe, or cigarette. Several episodes had violent, gruesome, or suggestive scenes shortened or removed, including a sequence involving a severed head, a close-up of Ren's face being grated against a man's stubble, etc., etc., etc. The episode that was never supposed to make it to air was titled Man's Best Friend, and it was deemed too controversial because of a scene where Ren harms George Liquor with an oar. Coupled with references to tobacco, as well as some boundary-pushing toilet humor, Nickelodeon was like, nope. The controversial creator of the show was actually fired after submitting the episode, not directly because of it, but this was the final straw. So years later on Spike TV, the show's revival, Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon, debuted with this banned episode as their unofficial pilot. Alrighty folks, we're ending today with an obvious title, South Park. Look, I'll be honest with you, I've never personally been a fan of this show, not my cup of tea, so make of that what you will. The series revolves around 4 boys, Stan Marsh, Kyle Broflovsky, Eric Cartman, and Kenny McCormick, and their exploits in and around the titular Colorado town. South Park also features many recurring characters, and the series became infamous for its profanity and dark surreal humor that satirizes a large range of subject matter. The pilot episode was produced using cutout animation. The remainder of the series uses computer animation, recalling the prior technique. Since the 4th season, episodes are generally written and produced during the week preceding its broadcast. South Park has always attracted controversy. The massively popular adult cartoon has pushed the boundaries of good taste and decency ever since its initial premiere in 1997. Yeah, the damn thing is as old as I am, so I've never known a world without it. Which hey, a lot of that is why it's so popular. But there are 2 episodes in particular that were simply too much and resulted in some very real and scary problems. The 2 episodes in question, simply titled 200 and 201, featured offensive jokes at the expense of the Prophet Muhammad. Trey Parker and Matt Stone spent much of the episode 200 teasing the appearance of Muhammad, which in the Muslim religion is a massive, blasphemous no-no. When episode 201 aired, it was heavily edited to hide Muhammad's appearance to tamper any potential outrage. Nevertheless, the creators of the show received numerous death threats, and the vocal outrage was insane. 3 weeks after the initial airing of the episodes, a car explosion attempt was foiled in Times Square. Now, while there were no concrete connections between the attempted explosion and the South Park episodes, it was certainly speculated. In turn, the episodes were removed from air and later banned across all streaming platforms. Okie dokie everybody, that's all from me today. I've been Alexa, your resident ookie spooky girly, and if you enjoyed my ramblings today, heck if you want a part 2, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more cartoon chatter from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time you lovely spooky people.